What's going on, everyone? Dylan Conrad, DC Fitness, phase 3 of the DC Fitness diet. Phase 1 was how to get in the right mindset. Phase 2 was how to set your calories. And phase 3 is gonna be how to set your macros. Macros are short for macronutrients, and it's just protein, carbs, and fats. And why it's important to track your macros and to set them is because people respond differently to different types of macronutrients, excuse me. For example, some people respond very well to high carb and they can stay at the same weight. Some people, if you put them on a high carb, will gain weight. So it's up to you to treat your body like an experiment and find out what percent of each is gonna be optimal for you. Now, with setting your calories in phase 2, there was no equation. I didn't give you a number to focus on to get you to your to either your deficit calories, maintenance, or surplus. What I recommend you do is actually just get your body fat tested, find out how much lean muscle mass you have, and base it upon your resting metabolic rate. Now with macros, with setting your macros, there actually is a pretty simple equation. But if you want to skip through this and it seems like a lot of work, just download MyFitnessPal and go into settings and you can adjust your percentage of each macronutrient. But if you write with paper, or then that's how you're logging your food, which is totally fine. I'm just really happy that you're doing it in the first place. Then there is a pretty simple equation. So for carbohydrates, middle one, for carbohydrates, it's 1 gram of carbohydrates is equal to 4 calories. For protein, it's the same thing. 1 gram of protein is equal to 4 calories. For fat, 1 gram of fat is actually equal to 9 calories. So keep that in mind when we're going through this process. And I'm going to teach you how to set your macros right now. This is the equation right here. So grams of macro, whichever one you're calculating, protein, carb, or fat, is equal to the total calories you'll have that day times the percent of that type of macronutrient, the protein, carb, or fat that you're calculating for, divided by the calories per gram of that specific macronutrient. So, it might seem a little weird, but let's go into, for example, carbohydrates. Grams of carbohydrates equals your total calories. Let's just say it's 1,800 for the day, times percent macro, let's say it's 40%, and divided by calories per gram. For carbohydrates, that's gonna be 4 calories per gram, so we'll put divided by 4 there. Now with that, what it's going to equal is 180 grams of carbohydrates, and that's going to be for a day. So that's how you set your carbohydrates, and you can set it the same way as you did for protein and fat. When choosing a percentage, you really can just choose any range in here that I put in: 20-30% of protein, 20-30% of fat, and then 40-50% of carbohydrates. You're gonna move them around anyways as you kind of dial in your macronutrients and figure out what your body responds best to. But these are just some simple ranges that you can kind of start in. But when setting them, you do wanna make sure that all of them added together are equal to 100%, okay? That's how you set your macros. It might seem a little tedious, and for the first 3 days, maybe it is. But if you went through phase 1 and phase 2, this should just fly by. If you really have mastered those first 2 phases, you should have no problem with tracking your macros. And what's so cool about that is you can actually eat whatever you want, okay? As long as it fits into your macros, and as long as you're getting about 6 servings of fruit and veg per day. I recommend at least 3 servings of vegetables per day. The other 3 can be either fruit and vegetables. So as long as you're getting that, you can pretty much eat whatever you want. Ice cream, donuts, pizza, hot dogs, whatever you want. It's pretty cool, and it really takes the psychological burden of dieting off, which totally affects your psychology and your adherence to the actual long-term results. Myself, I do all of the above, and I stay relatively lean all year long, unless I'm going to Italy, between about 9 and 12% body fat year round, which is awesome. It's worked for a lot of my clients, worked for me, and it works for a lot of people out there. That's why it's getting so popular nowadays. So I'm Dylan Conrad. If you have any questions about setting your macros, please leave your questions below and I will get to them as fast as I can to answer them. If you like this video and want to see more like it, we put out videos every Monday and Wednesday. Love you guys all. Happy dieting, and best of luck.